Here it is, chat. Here it is. The shameful cash grab of Monster Hunter Wilds. We documented Monster Hunter's PC betrayal. This is damning. Oh. Is it finally people are waking up that Monster Hunter Wild is not actually a great game and it's actually not game of the year? That's crazy, you know? That's kind of wild.
Prove it, JK.
That's wild. I don't think my translation is working. I think I might have to get rid of my translation. Yeah, my translation is not working, so it looks like we might have to get rid of our translation for today. Maybe we'll bring it back later, you know. But for now, it'll be turned off for this one at least. Sadly, unfortunately. Here, let me refresh it. Maybe it'll fix it. Nope. I don't see it. No, I don't see it, so. Not too sure. It kind of sucks. It's not gonna do it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to.
Then the stream crash.
That's true. Then the stream crashes again. Now that would be crazy, personally. Nah, it's not working. Oh well. I tried to fix it, you know, for all of my YouTube audiences, but I guess we're just gonna have to work without it. Sorry, guys. Sorry, no translation for the meantime. But yeah. Anyways, back to the main topic. Anyways, but yeah. Speaking of Monster Hunter Wild. Yeah, I've been saying this since like what is it, like day 2? It was day 2. It was day 2, literally on Monster Hunter Wilds. Of why I felt that this game was a little bit iffy about the game itself. It's literally like, I'm not even talking about the performance in general. Performance is like, yeah, definitely the big major part, but there's more to this game besides the performance, you know? For those who are like literally not seeing it, you guys gotta open your eyes specifically about this game itself. You guys need to like, you know, you guys need to like hello. Oh yeah, also I forgot. I need to follow Belle on Twitter, actually. Give me a second. Sorry, I'm sidetracking. I'm sorry, I'm sidetracking, but I need to I didn't get the chance. I don't think I followed her Twitter, sorry. VTuber friend, okay? VTuber friend priorities, okay? Alright, there it is. Anyways. You know how to pose? That's okay. I can teach you. You can always DM me at any time. I have no problem. I'm mostly like probably like working or something like that, you know? Don't be scared. Don't be scared to message me anytime.
Okay, I've got a question for you. How can a game be the best-selling game of the year so far,
Sidetracking is
and the
nothing new,
highest-rated game of the year critically, and also sit at 15% positive reviews in Steam? That's a goofy situation, and it's happening to Monster Hunter Wilds, which in a way is a paradox, because by any normal measure, it's a Game of the Year contender. Just, you know, not by a little metric called player satisfaction. So it's bizarre. And it does paint a bit of a picture for the future, because here's what's going on. The PC gaming audience is more and more important.
Yeah,
we
of
actually
course.
make up so many sales that we cannot be ignored. You guys know how it's been, right? For years and years and years, we get shitty ports, a lot of bullshit. Publishers just don't take us seriously. But now what's changed is they have to take us seriously because we're worth a shitload of money. I've also got something to tell you about. Traveling to the US for Epic Universe's opening was awesome, but it did mean dealing with something that's not fun, and that's roaming charges. Just that this time I didn't have to deal with them because of today's sponsor, Saley.
Wow, Saley! Oh, that's great. Anyways.
Saley.com/BellularNews. Okay, last time we talked about Monster Hunter Wilds, it was of Capcom's gamble paying off. And look, it did pay off. But a month has passed since then, and over that month, a lot of sentiment has changed. Now, so you understand, here's the...
No, I disliked the game the second day of the game itself. The second day, when I started playing this game in general, I played it. I beat it. It took me about... How long did it take me? It took me like 3 days, 3 or 2 days to complete it, basically. Somewhere around there, I think. I forgot how long it took me. Being a hater isn't new. No, it's like I don't hate the game. I've said this like multiple fucking times. Like, I'm being generally serious. Like, I love the game. I love the franchise. But the problem is the way how they handle this franchise, especially for the anniversary of Monster Hunter, it's not good. It's not great because it's an anniversary of the game itself, and it should be celebrated and be like, you know, bringing in some new stuff, maybe a new weapon class, you know, for its anniversary, or maybe bringing like a good roster, maybe like bringing an actual good chunk of roster of monsters in the game itself, you know, would have been pretty cool actually, personally. But oh well, it is what it is. They decide to, you know, because remember, right, back in the back in the second beta of Monster Hunter, we had the leaked files for all the monsters itself. And also they leaked the files or so for some monsters that were supposed to be in the main game, like the base game, before any updates or any title updates, but they got removed. Well, you know why. They didn't have enough time, so they removed them, and they decided to put them like all their files are actually in the game itself. So they had their own like place, like they had their own nest, they had the way they were part of the story as well, what chapter they were going to come out and everything. But unfortunately they completely took it out and decided to put it in a title update. It's so funny because the one of the Monster Hunter videos that we talked about or so, or we either talked about it on stream or I talked about it in the video, that Sergio's was going to be the next title update with Legiacris. But one of my guesses was either going to be with Legiacris, Sergio's, and Zinogre, or it's going to be Legiacris and Sergio's, and then Zinogre would probably come out later for the third title update, because apparently Zinogre also showed up in the files.
The situation. Monster Hunter Wilds had to deliver just over half of Capcom's yearly revenue target. Now, that obviously was a pretty tall order, but it did end up succeeding. Not only that, it actually vastly surpassed its targets. Mm-hmm. Now, at the launch, right, more than half of US sales were on Steam. And that
That's
means
crazy.
That without a simultaneous PC and console release, this game would not have succeeded the same way.
Yeah, so it definitely made a big splash in the Western side of audiences, but unfortunately, a lot of us are burnt out about games being so unoptimized, so unfinished, that I wouldn't be surprised if some of the people who played Monster Hunter Wild went back to play Monster Hunter World or Monster Hunter Rise, or some of them just completely quit and didn't want to come back to playing this game, you know, because, you know, the World version is better than the Wild version, because at least it's more optimal compared to Wilds, you know, so.
Certainly not financially. Now, over on console, it's a success, but on PC, the launch was really shit. The performance issues did make things messy, and that does kind of make sense. I mean, think about it. If you're optimizing for only 2 consoles, that is relatively straightforward compared to getting consistent performance across every PC build that is possible. It's not an impossible task. Loads of companies have well-optimized games in PC, but it requires effort, investment, and time. Now here's the thing, Capcom did not have time. They needed this game to be out for long enough to hit their financial year targets. So the ideal world where console release would happen and then...
If they try to do this again with Monster Hunter, with the next Monster Hunter franchise, it's not going to work out. Like, I'm not going to buy the next game, to be honest. I'm definitely not going to buy the next game.
PC would come out when it's ready, when it's a good product worthy
I
of
love the
being sold.
franchise, but I don't think
That
I'm gonna buy the
obviously
next
didn't
game.
happen. It couldn't happen. And the reason why is Capcom's financial targets. Now, obviously, they did.
They cannot delay it, because the only reason why they didn't delay it is because they need their financial quarters, and then they'll be behind, and then they're gonna start, laying off people and or whatever other shenanigans or so. But yeah,
Did set them for themselves. But here's the thing.
I would love
They
to play Monster Hunter
basically
with my
had a story
friends,
of
but that's
10
about it
years of
though.
10%
Like my VTuber
growth a
friends,
year.
I think it'd be really
And
fun.
if memory serves, if they didn't hit it this year, they would have broken like a 10-year streak. That would have been real bad for their like investor narrative and all that stuff that big companies
They should have,
actually
because
care.
like that's how it was originally with World. They delayed the PC version of Monster Hunter. Because I played the console version. I played the console version of Monster Hunter World, so I didn't play the PC version.
About. So essentially, it was a classic
Probably
example
not,
of
nah.
misaligned incentives. Their incentives were not aligned with ours.
I just like, for me personally, I just don't like what they did with heavy bow guns. Heavy bow guns feel so mundane. It feels boring. Like it feels like way boring compared to World and Rise. Those felt a lot more funner to play, even though I did not use all of the mechanics in Rise. I didn't use any of the fancy mechanics that was in like Monster Hunter Rise, whatever they're called or so. The silk power or whatever, the silk skill. But I used the I just did normal heavy bowgun stuff, and I just did my usual normal maneuver. But like in Wilds or so, like your shield is basically equivalent to a lance user. You can block everything, and it's just kind of like I think there's only like maybe like 2 attacks that you cannot block. I think there's like 2, either 2 or 1. No, it's 2. It's Jindahad's ice explosion and what's the name of the final boss again? What's the name? Does anyone remember the final boss's name? I forgot the final boss's name. Zoshia. There you go. Zoshia's fire breath. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. The shield, my little tiny shield is literally equivalent to a lance user or a gun lance user. It's crazy. I'm just like, why is this even a thing? That should not be a thing. It should only block certain attacks. It shouldn't block all of the attacks, because if I remember correctly, when a big monster dashes at you, I think there was like it was like one of the best examples was which one was it? The best example is Anjanath. Which one was it? Anjanath's when Anjanath goes berserk and starts like diving down on the ground and like literally like opening its mouth and sliding towards you and everything. I can't block that with my heavy bow gun. But like in Wilds, I can block a Zoshia like tackling you from like one side of the map to you. A big like just put it in perspective, a giant ass monster, right? Just ramming towards you, and you just go tink tink, and that's it, and you just block it or so. And I'm just like, I don't know if that's supposed to work, in my personal opinion. I should be like taking a look at the monster, finding out what attacks hit me, what attacks doesn't hit me, remember these attacks. I'd be like, okay, Zoshia's gonna do this attack, I gotta put away my weapon and I gotta dolphin dive. Okay, I gotta do this and I gotta do that, But like in Monster Hunter Wilds, all I have to do is just literally like just aim at the monster, stop shooting for like a couple seconds, and then just block. And then every so often, if I don't have the armor perk of the what's his name or so, Arcveiled. I think it was Arcveiled's passive or so for the armor set, where if you shoot a monster's wound part, you regain HP. If I don't have that specific armor set on, then I just heal normally. But if I do, I just kind of like shoot the wounded part on the monster and then just heal back up, and it's just kind of like useless at that point. It's just pointless. Okay, all right, that's about it. That's literally how it is with the heavy bowgun. That's generally how it is, how straightforward it is. And also apparently with heavy bowgun, there's only one element on the weapon. So this was before any updates. Let me remind you, don't play smartass with me, because I know the YouTube comments like to play smartass with me. They're like, actually, there's actually weapons that have 2 elements. Shut the fuck up, okay? No one likes you, okay? All right? You're probably adopted, all right? But yeah, the heavy bowguns just have one single element, one single like status, and that's it. And then they have normals, spreads, and piercings. Spreads is completely useless. Like you can't use spread ammo. I don't even know if they even fixed the spread ammo situation. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if they actually fixed it or not. Because like it's pretty much useless. Piercing doesn't do what it used to do. Piercing got nerfed. And then they convert all 3 of those to have infinite ammo. And I'm just kind of like, really? They combined all of them and then they basically made them infinite. And it's just kind of like, wow.
That was always going to come to a head in the long run, and now, thankfully, that has actually happened. Take a look at this graph. It's kind of lovely. We see a very clear trend where at launch, there's a 60-40 split, and that stays proportionally 60 to 70% positive as the updates and fixes roll out. But then, as May ends, clearly something changes. So here's how we get there. April's first big title update added a new monster, new endgame features, updates to the social hub area, and some other minor things. Then, May's end brought
be
the
safe,
Street Fighter
hon.
collaboration complete with Akuma's weapon. So basically, content was coming, but the core game, the thing that people really cared about, was not changing.
Yep.
Then the month of June hits, and that is when the real shift happens. And man, what a shift it is. There's over 11,000 user reviews in the last 30 days,
Bye, Hazu.
of which only 15% are positive. The vast majority are negative, and people are rightly pissed. There's a few reasons why. I'll summarize them. So first up, Capcom took a harsher line in mods in early June where they suspended players who were using mods to access gear and cosmetics that were not yet released to the public, which, you know, is understandable,
yeah, of
but
course.
it's really not like Capcom were sort of, standing on firm ground with this game. So yes, that pissed off some people. Second then, a bug with shader compilation caused CPU load to spike big time.
Wait, what? Extreme high CPU usage. My fellow hunters, I've noticed that Monster Hunter Wilds is using around 90% of my CPU? Even though all my drivers are up to date and my CPU temperature stays below 60%, is there a fix or somebody experiencing the same? Jesus Christ, holy shit.
Time during gameplay, and Capcom's response was to just tell players to manually delete shader files until the next patch.
You have to manually delete the shader cache? That's actually pretty bad, because we all know that there's a lot of people who don't use Twitter. So your average, Joe dad or so with a 9-to-5, right? Who's busy, taking care of his family and stuff like that, aren't really going to they're not really going to look at Twitter or look at, the Monster Hunter status update, saying that you need to delete your shader cache and stuff like that. It's probably going to take them a while for them to learn it, to know about it. Probably look it up on YouTube, or maybe from a friend of theirs will update them or something. But yeah, they'll probably won't know immediately. That's pretty bad, I'll be honest with you.
Which is a solution, but it's not really a fix, and it's just frustrating. And then third, it's less something that Capcom did, and it's more just the situation of this game becoming obvious, because by now, so few people remained compared to what you would have expected prior.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Wait, hold up.
Because by now, so few
19,000
people remained compared to what you would have expected prior Monster Hunter games.
Shit. Damn, even World was better. They should have just grabbed everything from World, like the core stuff, and then all they had to do was just get rid of the what was it called again? Was it switch claw switch, whatever, the claw mechanic, whatever, and then just, put in the tackle thing, and then that's pretty much it,
games had more players, and you basically see that per the Steam charts, only the most dedicated people are left. And through all of this time, negative reviews about performance kept on coming. And again, like justifiably, rightly so. The next big update then is the announcement of Title Update 2 on the 10th of June, and it's promising a release by the end of June.
And I heard about they didn't even really like I heard about this, but they didn't really address any of the optimization issues whatsoever in the live stream. It's just kind of like, what are you guys doing? Like, just address the issue. God damn, man. Lordy Lord, it's not that hard.
Basically, there will be more endgame monster tiers, quality of life and balance changes, and performance improvements, especially on the Steam version. That means changes to VRAM usage to limit crashes, promises of enhanced texture streaming, and other things that are nice. But there is a problem. I mean, if those were enough to make people happy, you would have seen it in the Steam reviews, but we don't. And that's because these just weren't fixes in the truest sense, at least in the audience's mind. Essentially, more content and some nice but not super core fixes happening in the context of deep underlying problems within the game that are not being fixed. And what this led to is a classic snowball, because once the negatives started to outweigh the positives to a sort of critical mass, it just snowballed. People decided to hop in and leave negative reviews because by now it was obvious to everyone that Capcom had dropped the ball and that there was no way they'd be able to just brush that shitty launch under the rug and have it.
Well. Looks like who was right all along is the veteran and the master Monster Hunter players who've been playing this franchise for such a long time. All of these new gen hunters called every single one of us elitists, grifters, fucking every single name in the book, misogynist, all everything. They called us everything. But man, oh man, does it taste so good when you are so right and so correct. I love the tears of, like, you know, of dumb people crying over there about their Monster Hunter game, you know? It feels great. There is no substitute for Vindication. Bro, it feels great to be right, even though these people they literally called me grifters. They said, I don't know what I'm talking about. They said, you are talking nonsense. This game is game of the year. This bitch doesn't know what she's talking about. I got called everything in the comment section from that one other video. From the second video we saw where someone literally said, like, they said Monster Hunter Wild is game of the year. I laughed my ass off for like at least roughly like 30 to 45 seconds. And literally, they were literally saying, man, I don't know what this bitch is talking about and stuff like that. They literally called me everything in the fucking book. And that, like, you can't see some of the comments because they were held, of course, because of YouTube deleted them. Like, YouTube held them and then they just get automatically deleted by themselves. But they were calling me crazy shenanigans. It was funny though. It was really hilarious. But you know, it's funny though. You know, I'm just like, the tears of retards are our sustenance. I was like, I was correct, you know? I've been playing this franchise. Like, I've never played any of the Nintendo ones, right? Because like I said, I was poor. So I don't live a rich life. If I lived a rich life, I would have played every single Monster Hunter game, but I don't live rich, okay? I'm poor, all right? I'm probably like below poor now because of the inflation and everything. So like it's like, I've played this franchise since the PS2. I played all of the PSP. I even played the Japanese exclusive ones, you know, which is Portable Third, of course, you know. I played the PS2 one, then I played the PSP, and then I played I think the one on the Switch or so, but I didn't play it because I didn't play it too much because it was my sister's Switch. And I played Frontiers for a little bit, which I want to get back to in the future. I'm just not itching for Monster Hunter right now. That's the only problem. I have to get the itch or so for Monster Hunter. And I played World. I played Rise. I actually like Rise, actually. Personally, I like Rise. Rise is way more funner compared to Wilds by like miles, to be honest. I don't know who hates Rise or so, but I guess it must be like the new people who came from World or so who hate Rise or something. But I actually enjoyed it. The only thing I disliked, there were some things I disliked about Rise or so, is like when you upgrade your canteen, you don't get like new food animations or anything like that. That's the only thing that I hated. There's a few other things I didn't like either. I actually like the raid what is it, the raid kind of type of quest or so. I liked it personally. I actually enjoyed that, because it was a lot different compared to like, oh, there's a big giant monster coming down the aisle very slowly, we gotta smash it with a bunch of cannons, and like, oh, now the monster is at the entrance of the door, now you can do damage to it but with cannons only. So it's kind of like it's a nice different change of form to have the whole, I forgot what's it really called or so, but I just call them the raid fight or so, because like it's like literally a bunch of monsters coming, like it's still the same thing coming down the aisle or so, but like it's just a bunch of monsters just coming down a specific aisle, and then a big monster comes in, and it's a lot different. It's a lot more newer. It's a little bit different. They try to twist on that specific, like, oh, one single giant monster that slowly comes down. For fuck's sakes, I literally had to fight, let me see, what's his name? I had to fight this thing back then. I had to fight this thing. This fucking baloney fucking monster. So I had to fight this motherfucker coming down the fucking lane. This guy moved fucking slow as shit. This guy was the slowest. I liked it, but like, I liked his design and everything, but man, dude, this fight was like, ugh, kill me now, dude. This fight was unbearable of how long it took for him to get to the entrance of the door, dude. It was insane how long this guy took, because you had to wait for him, because like you see him at the beginning of the room and he just moves slowly, and then you have to leave that area, and then you have to wait for him in the first hallway of the first zone. But my God, does he take a hot minute. There's like videos on it specifically, but yeah, like I said, I know my shit, okay? And people who literally said that, like, I'm like, when I literally said that literally the hub, like the whole questing system works as like a hub guild system, and people were telling me this like, no, that's not how it works. I'm like, people literally request the guild to post quests for the hunter to take, because the guild itself, like the hub and the guild and everything, they work as a central network, as in like they hold the quest. They don't, like, the only quest that they actually do is the doom ending ones, like the Fatalis, the Elytrion, what's the name of that one monster that I don't remember, that goes under lava or so and has like big two teeth coming out from his, like, from the bottom jaw. I forgot his name specifically, but yeah. But any like doom ending like type of quest or so is literally from the guild directly, but all the other quests is literally from villagers and ecological research teams and everything like that that's around the surrounding area, that literally gives the guild to make a quest, to post it, and then the hunters get it. And then people told me, it's like, no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. I'm like, I fucking know how it works. So yeah, I just had a rant on that specific part, because these people don't know. Like I understand. Like, I know the fucking lore. Okay, don't think I don't know the lore.
Us all forget. Oh no, people remember. All right, PC audiences, we are used to being heard. Steam's a big platform. It's got reviews, and those tools are often something that drives change. Because if changes don't happen, negative reviews in theory should slow down sales. At least in theory. It often does work. It can kill an indie game, but if you take a look at Call of Duty, well,
you and your monster hunting, you LUL.
Negative reviews will not change a developer's mind.
I love Monster Hunter. Like, I love it. But the one thing that I hate about these new freaking hunter players or so, that literally calls us old hunter players like elitist and whatever, it's bullshit. You know, we criticize the game because we love the game. Okay, we want to see the game to change and go into a direction that it should be better for everybody, not just catering to new people, you know. Because at the end of the day, like catering to new people is fine, but the problem is listening to them specifically. It's like they don't know how the franchise is. The problem is there's too much freaking life quality changes that literally just kills the vibe of the game itself, you know. I think having too much of it is a bad thing, you know. The core of itself, I enjoy a lot of the core things that I enjoy. Some of the quality of life changes are good. Some of the other ones I don't really enjoy, you know, as much. So that's the only thing, especially like the autopilot or so with the sacred or so. I don't even know any of the maps in Monster Hunter Wild.
Reminds me of vanilla World of Warcraft versus retail Warcraft.
Like I don't know any of the maps in Monster Hunter Wild, but when it comes to Monster Hunter World, oh, I know that map like the back of my hand. But Wild, I don't know it at all. I just let the autopilot do everything for me, and that's pretty much about it. So.
Case though, let's talk about Wilds and break the criticism into two camps. There's artistic and there's technical, and Wilds has got both. As for artistic problems, sometimes those do or do not get updates. Maybe a dev has got a different vision from a player. An example of that changing though is say Helldivers 2. Essentially, the devs really wanted a harder rock, paper, scissors with weapon balancing. Players just wanted more of a fun power fantasy, and ultimately the devs decided to agree with the players, and it did end up working out.
Yeah.
So this is a game that does have that type of artistic, of design criticism. But then there's the technical.
Yeah, the artistic itself, there's something apparently like some of my other some of my audiences told me that like some of their classes or so, they don't really enjoy the certain things. Some of them do, some of them don't. I've read some of the comment sections on some of the Monster Hunter videos that I've done. Some of them say like, oh yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of this and this and this for this specific class or my class in general. And then some people are like, I like this, but I don't like this. You know, they like certain changes, but they don't like other certain changes in general. And the heavy bowgun is just completely like fucking out of the fucking pool of weapons to make it feel fun in general. Like it's not fun. It's generally not fun at all. If you're saying that this class is fun, you are out of your mind. Literally, there was a video that Dark sent me of what the quote unquote meta of the heavy bowgun is. Like I don't really follow meta. I think following meta is pretty boring in my personal opinion. But like one of the metas for heavy bowguns was literally like, oh, if you get on your sacred and shoot on your sacred, you can save like 0.5 seconds for reloading on your gun. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm just like, it's not even a difference. it's like, what's the point?
And that's where Capcom honestly are fucked in how they've dealt with things. Now, obviously, PC is hard. We've all heard the meme of, works in my machine. But here's the reality of things with this game. Hundreds of QA staff before launch looked at this. But then, well, that turned into thousands and thousands and thousands of players with loads of different configurations. That is exponentially more.
I think I spent more time configuring the game to make sure it runs okay than actually playing the damn game, I'm gonna be honest with you.
And players are good at finding problems. But as PC gamers, we do appreciate that PC is hard.
Ever heard of sleight of hand? There's no sleight of hand, stupid.
Dealt with promptly, I think can be
there is no perk like that
by people, but only if they are dealt with promptly. That's not happened. It's only got worse over time. We're nearly 4 months post-launch. We're past.
Jesus Christ. Also, I'm curious actually. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Is it actually really like Steam DB charts? I want to see if it's actually still low. Monster Hunter Wilds. How low is it now? We did get the new update, right? So it jumped up to 40K. Okay, all right, that's not too bad, but it's still not great though. That's actually still pretty shitty numbers in my personal opinion. And it's at 10,000. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. This is normal. This is completely normal. So no one cares about your sleight of hand. We need a martyrdrome in Wilds. I thought we were gonna get a new class. Like, how many of you guys thought that we were getting a new class in Monster Hunter for the anniversary? That's what I thought. I thought we were gonna get like at least one new class for Monster Hunter. Because it was like the anniversary, you know, maybe like, or maybe a super big roster of monsters or so for Monster Hunter Wild because it was the anniversary itself, you know. It's like, that's what I expected. I either expected like a new class or a big roster of like of monsters, like past, like old monsters coming back, you know. Some like some monsters that never had the limelight, at least for like celebrating the anniversary for Monster Hunter. but we didn't really get anything. So we didn't get anything like that sort of nature. I would have loved to have a new class.
At least one paid DLC. And what's happening in this front? Capcom is still recommending that users like delete files manually to fix shader compilation. The impression is that Capcom do not care, that they got their money from a messy launch to hit their big
they don't care.
goal, and that now they don't give a shit.
They've already got your money. They're probably who even knows if they're. It's probably gonna take like maybe a year or so for them to fix it. And I'd be curious to see if like when the DLC comes out for Monster Hunter Wild, the expansion, I'd be curious if it's gonna break again because of the code, you know. And the funny thing about it is like it's not even the smaller developers or anything like that. It's literally the guys at the top that are literally you have to blame this at. I don't blame the devs. I don't blame this, you know, I don't blame the smaller people down at the bottom of the tree of the corporate of the video game, you know, of Capcom. It's like, you know, they probably love the game and they probably love it out of passion and they want to fix it and they want to do this stuff for it. But the problem is the people in the suit at the top is what demands them to be like, we need to release this game this year at this time, you know, before our final quarters. I don't care if it's broken, unfinished or anything, you will fucking release it, you know? And I just personally just hate that in general.
And the ultimate endpoint of that is accusations of it being a dead game. Now, the funny thing is, as much as that narrative has set in, and there's a lot of truth in it, if you go and look on Steam, you do actually see Capcom are literally discussing Steam-specific fixes in patch notes and in dev diaries. But that's obviously not working. That's not solving the broader issue.
Of course.
And what's far worse is that this is beginning to look like a pattern. Multiple reviews call out poor performance compared to Monster Hunter World of course, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what's funny? That game actually launched with mostly negative reviews in Steam. Not a 60-40 split, mostly negative. But then what happened? Well, it immediately rallied. It now has got near universally positive reviews, and that all followed as Capcom fixed up the PC port.
Yeah.
And they brought the game in line with console. And for a while, it looked like a genuine Capcom redemption. They had good PC ports, good performance. But then Dragon's Dogma 2 happened. That was in March 2024. It had heaps and heaps of problems, and one of the most egregious, the town performance stuff. The fixes didn't arrive until June, which was 3 months later. Wider performance fixes then came in September, which was 6 months after launch. That's insane. And there's been no changes since. And that does mean the cries of "this has been abandoned by the devs" are actually not hyperbole. Does actually ring out, does make sense. And
I feel like it's a skeleton crew that's working on Dragon's Dogma. I feel like that's what it is. I think it's an actual skeleton crew. I don't think it's like a super big crew that's working on like expansions or anything like that. They're probably doing a lot of bug fixes and everything that's happening over there and optimization issues.
the general understanding then is that without hardware from recent years, you'll just have a shit time, and one that you shouldn't really have. The idea basically being that if it wasn't for NVIDIA frame generation making up for these shitty launches and, you know, I mean, evidently devs and publishers not treating things with the respect that they should be treated with, that we'd just be screwed. But hey, Jensen is here with his frame gen and we're all safe. Which is a grim reality for us to be in, where now we're trying to pad our frame rates with fake frames. Anyway,
like frame generation is a good technology, right? I think it's a pretty good technology, but the problem is like if the hardware is not being improved every single year, which is like the graphics card, right? I'm talking about the graphics card in general. If the hardware itself is not improving at least like 5 or 10 or maybe 20% or something like that, or like somewhere around the line, right? If it's not improving, right? Like let's say like the 4090s, he is like, let's say like, oh, it's 50% strong, right? Like it's good. And then the 5090 is like not like, you know, somewhere like 75% or whatever, you know, compared to the last one, just for an example, right? You know, then after that, on top of that, right? If it is 75% better, right? And then you add frame gen on top of that, it'll push it even higher, which it should be like that. But no, you have the 4090 and the 5090 being actually literally the same thing, actually a little bit worse than the 4090, because at least the 4090 can run PhysX games and the 5090s cannot run PhysX games. So if you want to play like an older game with your friends and everything with your new fancy schmancy shiny 5090 card, you can't play those because you have to turn off PhysX or else you're gonna start looking at like 5 FPS, like literally. so it's like like it's a good technology, but the problem is it shouldn't be the sole purpose of the hardware itself. It should elevate the hardware itself to like newer heights and newer newer levels. But that's just me though. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion.
Anyway, people basically can look at this and see the same pattern with Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, many people are blaming the RE engine because it's, well, sort of connective tissue between all of these things. Essentially, the theory is that only Capcom's open world games have got these sorts of problems. And I think that's fairly logical based on the evidence.
Yeah.
But as long as you ignore one thing. The games run fine on console comparatively, which basically means that it's likely PC-specific optimization stuff. The sort of thing where you need more time, more resources.
Yeah, because the console is only like one specific hardware compared to PC. It's different types of hardware. You have AMD, you have like a assortment amount of different AMD GPUs. You even still have people playing like on older GPUs as well. You also got people playing NVIDIA from like the 5090s all the way to from like the 20 series. You got some people still playing with like even lower end GPUs as well. And then you have CPUs on top of that, which everybody runs different CPUs. You got Intel CPU, you got AMD CPU, and you got different ranges of those specific CPUs in general. And then you have whatever other specific. You got probably the motherboard. I don't know if the motherboard has any significance with it, but I know the GPU and the CPU are basically like the type of thing. The player base has gone to night and rain. No. That's not what we're talking about in general.
And oh, boo-hoo, poor Capcom, who got over 50% of their American sales from the Steam version. By now, it is simply an undeniable pattern of behavior from this publisher, and of course, you then look at, say, Resident Evil Requiem and think, oh, well, it'll probably be like what has came before. A bit shit. All of this has happened before, all of this will happen again. Once upon a time, back in the 2010s, Capcom had a reputation, one of incredibly shoddy PC ports.
Yeah.
But they overcame that. They did good. And now PC releases are making up more than half of their sales, at least that stat in America for one of their most successful games ever. And they earned that. They earned those sales by putting out great games that people enjoy. That's why over 1 million people have wishlisted Resident Evil Requiem across all the different platforms. It's now the 29th most wishlisted game in Steam.
Plus also the difference between, Resident Evil Requiem and Monster Hunter. Resident Evil Requiem is more linear, or like, I doubt there's like more open world-esque zones compared to, Monster Hunter in general. And Dragon's Dogma too.
But that's also why people worry. Think about it. Capcom gets that much Steam traction, even in spite of their last 2 releases being just disrespectful shit shows. Both not only having rough launches, but also...
Well, I doubted that a Monster Hunter fan is the same fan who will like, Resident Evil. Resident Evil fans are Resident Evil fans, There probably are some, but there are some who probably don't play Monster Hunter and then just play, Resident Evil from Capcom.
Bad post-launch support for the PC platform. And that means it feels like they are taking PC for granted. They want the money, but they don't seem to want to do the work that earns that money. And that's what these reviews are really about. It goes deeper than just this one game.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I said that Capcom pulled a dirty trick, well,
they did.
I think that's been proven pretty right as times went on. Capcom, it feels like you'll happily benefit from us, but that you're not willing to actually invest in our concerns and actually treat us with the respect that I think a customer deserves. And I have a perfect contrast.
Problem is, gamers are stupid, so we all know this for a fact. They have amnesia harder than compared to an 80-year-old who has freaking dementia.
The ultimate way that you actually know the audience matters. PlayStation basically scared themselves shitless whenever Concord went the way that it did.
True.
Because of that, they've changed a hell of a lot. So ultimately, money, our money, talks. Whenever people don't show up, these companies are forced to change. It is not happening with Capcom thus far. Maybe it will in the future.
It'll definitely probably change on the next Monster Hunter game if they decide to, you know, when they work on the next Monster Hunter game, depending what Monster Hunter game it is in general, it'll definitely hurt them quite a lot more compared to how it is now. Like Monster Hunter, you know, when they ever make their I guess, like, I would assume the next Monster Hunter game will probably be a handheld version of it. But the AAA version of it, you know, on the console and PC, it'll definitely won't do very well. To be honest, I'm not gonna buy the next Monster Hunter game. I'm not. And like, it's just kind of like, I spent like the 120, what is it, 110 or whatever edition, you know, the ultimate edition for it. I played the ultimate edition. I bought the ultimate edition because I was like, I know for a fact I'm like, you know, I enjoy Monster Hunter, you know. I'd be like, maybe it's like a different build dev or so. I'll give them benefit of the doubt or so during the second closed beta, even though it was kind of, I was a little bit jarring or so that they did not give us an updated version of that specific beta. I was just kind of like, I'd be like, you know what, I'll give them benefit of the doubt, we'll see. And then when the game released or so, of course I was mostly messing with settings or so compared to playing the game itself. I think I was like tweaking and everything, adding mods or so to making sure it was like sort of somewhat stable. And that was kind of like pretty much it. I played the game, I beat it in like 60 hours. I could have beat it in less hours, to be honest, but like I was farming some other stuff or so for like armors for like the monsters and stuff like that. But yeah, I beat the game in like 60 hours. I was just kind of like, you know, I felt pretty like not really that great. It really wasn't really a great Monster Hunter game. I don't say it's shit. I don't think it's a shit game, but it was a most disappointing game. Definitely Monster Hunter Wilds is a disappointing game, I'll be honest with you. Pretty disappointing, and it definitely did not land, it did not stick the landing with it, and hopefully they learn from this and hopefully improve on it, you know. But hey, that's just me. I doubt if they're gonna listen, to be honest. You know, they made their money, so it's just kind of like, you know, they took everyone's money at the end of the day, so they're kind of like suckers, you know. But yeah, anyways, that's the end of the video. And yeah, I was right all along. Oh man, wow. Maybe these new young hunters probably, you know, at least the most annoying ones, at least. I'm not saying like every single one of them. There's a lot of young hunters that I've met in the comment section that are like, yeah, no, I agree. No, Monster Hunter Wilds is definitely like there's wrong with this and stuff like that or so. But then there's the other side of Monster Hunter Wild fan base that are literally like a bunch of dumbasses, you know. That don't like to listen to the older players and think that, like, you know, we're retarded, we don't know what we're talking about, we're a bunch of elitists, we're grifters, you don't know what you're talking about, blah blah blah, this and that and that and this, you know. Those are the kind of people who are like literally like who don't seem to understand what's actually wrong with the game itself. Those are the people that don't want to see the game grow and change in a better route. They decide they'd rather see it become like a Genshin Impact, you know? So, but hey, if they want to play Genshin Impact Monster Hunter Edition, be my guest, you know, but I'm not going to play it though. So there's a bunch of other older Monster Hunter games that I haven't even got the chance to play, and I'll probably rather play those instead, you know, and experience them, especially the ones on the Nintendo side. I didn't get the chance to play any of the Nintendos. Like I said, I was poor. I don't live a very wealthy life or live a very, you know, I didn't spawn in on like easy mode, you know, for some people. I spawned in on the hardest difficulty, you know, so yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the video, and peace.